So, okay, I got my air fryer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've used it quite a few times, but... What?
Did you already start?
Yes, I did.
You said, did you plan that? You said, it's so wacky.
Okay, maybe I did plan it a little bit. But you said first episode, middle of the conversation. That's what I'm trying to do.
You literally started a conversation.
Whatever, man. Can I tell you the story or what?
Yeah, sure. Your air fryer.
Okay, so I've been using it a lot, but for whatever reason, it's like been setting off my fire alarm, which the fire alarm in my building is like particularly terrible. To me, it seems like it's set off at like the slightest provocation. And so I was using it yesterday, like make some fried catfish because I wanted some. And my freaking alarm starts going off for like no reason. There's no smoke or anything. I think it just got too hot.
You delivered that like it was like a joke. Like you're like, and you know what's wacky? Like
I just wanted to tell you about my air fryer and my alarm, and then my alarm,
it just starts going off. You even paused, like.
Well, I'm sorry that I'm trying to tell you a story in an interesting and engaging way.
I'm sorry that you're not funnier.
Oh my god. Okay.
That's a great.
You know what? We're moving on.
Okay.
This is yet another episode of the Not Just Arin podcast. I am Arin, and you are?
I am not Arin.
Fantastic. Today we're going to be talking about relationships, which is an interesting topic for me personally, just because of how terrible it's gone for basically my whole life. And, well, for you, I would say it's gone all right for the most part. I mean...
Well, I feel like this may sound a little broad, but I feel like for everyone it's gone terrible at one point or another, either in the lack of relationship or bad relationships, or like, even like high school sweethearts or something, like, that may not be a healthy relationship. Who knows? Like, it just hasn't ended yet.
I guess, but I feel like mine has been consistently terrible.
All right. You win the contest. It's okay.
It's okay. We're already starting off spicy. I don't like this. So I feel like there's a point in most people's lives where they can pinpoint a point in their life where they first, I guess, started thinking about how they relate to the opposite sex or the same sex if they're gay. So when was that point for you?
I have to think about it because I don't know. My memories from my younger years are a bit shoddy at this point. As far as I know, which like I don't know if this is different for guys or girls or just different for like most people, but my answer I've heard is a bit early compared to others. Of like, I feel like I started having like crushes in like first grade.
I did too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're both not like other girls.
Sure.
But yeah, no, like I think like I don't know what about kindergarten where I was just like nah, but like yeah, first grade I was just like ooh, like
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I don't know if that was like my idea of dating.
Not about like dating strictly, but just like when do you start like noticing
females?
Don't say females. That's so gross.
Female. Should I say miladies?
No, that's not any better.
I don't know. First grade is my first memory. I guess you already answered with yours, but
yeah, that's true. I would say first grade, but yeah, I think that's actually pretty natural.
Well, see, I've talked to people, and like some people were like, "No, I didn't. That didn't start until like fifth grade or like middle school or something." Like,
interesting.
Yeah, so it's like, I guess for other people, it's just more like I don't know. They just didn't care. They were just like, "Yeah, we can just play. Go outside. Like, I got a bucket. I got an action figure. Like, let's just hang out. But yeah.
Yeah, because I think distinctly remember a point in time. So my best friend in elementary school, I want to say like second, third, and not really fourth, but mostly second and third grade, was this kid who I will call Landon because that was his name. I highly doubt he's ever going to find this.
Let's call him Landon.
But yeah, I'm not going to say his last name, obviously, but yeah, me and him, we were...
I knew a Landon.
Well, I don't think this was the same person.
Might have been. What was his last name?
I can't say that for security reasons. But in like the 4th or 5th grade where we kind of like stopped being friends, and I could like notice like a change in him where he just kind of started, I don't know, acting weird. And I think, I don't know, maybe at that point it became unacceptable for girls and boys to be friends. So I don't know.
That's when both of you contracted a severe case of cooties.
Well, I still wanted to be friends with him though, and I didn't really know what was the deal. But also, there's like this whole other thing going on that I don't have time to get into.
Wow, that sounds like a great way to that sounds like a great way to bring it up on the podcast. You know, just be like, hey, audience, here's something that sounds super interesting. Can't talk about it.
Well, I kind of want to stay on topic.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. What is it? Yeah, well, then there's also like the trope or the cliche of like if you like someone or something, that it's like you got to be mean to them. You know?
Yeah.
There's that. Was there any of that? Or is he just distant?
I think I was just distant. So I think I first personally considered like dating in middle school. I want to say like 6th or 7th grade. So like I knew I liked boys previously to that, but I didn't really know what to do with that information.
Is this now my chance to answer?
Yes, Joseph. Okay. You don't have to ask.
Well, I mean, you just trailed off and just like, like,
okay.
So wait, this is date. This is like less like just like ooh, and more like dating. Okay. I mean, yeah, I would say probably. Well, I'm gonna one up you. Maybe I'll say like maybe 5th grade. Maybe like. I'm trying to think back to 4th grade. What the heck was 4th grade like? I don't remember who was there, who I had a crush on. I'm going to say 5th grade because like specifically, this is a little funny. There was like a girl in 5th grade that like I really liked. And like, I think she liked me back too, which was very exciting.
Interesting.
Problem was she had a boyfriend.
Oh, drama.
Yeah, I know. And like, and then I guess this is a 5th grade relationship. It might not be it's not the most serious, and
it's not serious at all.
That's the thing. The thing is it seemed like it was a bit of a toxic relationship because I think like what he just wasn't a nice boyfriend. I think because he said that she was like a bad kisser, and and I was like, oh dang, like we're in 5th grade and like she's already kissed, like, and then she likes me, but like she can't be with me because she has a boyfriend, and like. But like he's abusive because like he's making fun of her and how she kisses. Like this was my drama. Like I'm 10 years old in a love triangle. Like and the girl was like really cute too. So I was just like, oh dang. And then but that like 5th grade was public school, and that whole experience was so terrible that like that was when my parents like pulled me out of public school and
because of that.
No, not like the There was a lot of like bullying and like the students were bullies, the teachers were bullies. In the 5th grade school that I went to, where like there was one teacher, she was I think a PE teacher. She would brag about making a kid cry. Like it was kind of a bad school, and so they pulled me out of the public school system. We're like, you're going to a Christian private school now. And then I think I like did see that girl like 1 or 2 more times after, but like she's very cute.
She's still very cute.
Well, I guess I've only like, I think I like, you know, I guess like looked her up on Facebook like a couple of times in college, which I don't have Facebook anymore, but yes, she was. Yes. Well, I feel awkward more just because like, I'm like, well, I feel like
I kind of set you up. I shouldn't have asked that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I don't have Facebook anymore, but like, I think like, freshman, sophomore year, I was just like, I wonder how this person's doing or something. I like look her up and I'm like, oh dang, like anyway.
So what is our current relationship status? I'll let you go first because I think you actually have a substantive answer to this.
I don't know. I was trying to think of a joke so hard. I was gonna be like, well, I'm actually getting married next this Saturday. Like I don't. No, I am in a relationship with a female, if you will, and we have been together for 2 years and some months and some change, and we'll call her Melissa because that's her name.
Well,
do you want me to elaborate more? So you know, I don't know if there's anything else I can elaborate on.
Well, I guess say how you met, because I actually don't think I know. I know we all went to like college together, but what was the meet cute?
The meet cute. There was no. I mean, there was sort of like there was no meet cute. It was more. It was more wholesome than that, Aaron. There's nothing wrong with the meet cute. I'm just no. Honestly, how we met was there's like a tiny spider over there. Do you see that?
Yeah.
You want to kill it with a tissue? You don't want to kill it?
He's chilling.
Okay, I thought you would freak out.
He's small.
This podcast is brought to you by the tiny spider crawling by Aaron's head on the wall. Anyway, the meet cute was not a meet cute. Anyway, my friend, I had my best friend at the time. Her name was Patricia. We were friends in college.
She's still alive.
And I don't know. She just was like, we were hanging out and she was like, oh, let's go to the library. My friend, Melissa is working there at the moment. So we walked in, like, she's like, oh, hey, Melissa. And it's like, hey, this is my friend Joseph. Hey, this. And so she just kind of introduced us and that was that. I mean, that was how we met. But then what else? I guess, do you want me? That's how we met. But then I guess since then, there was a time period where it's like from that time meeting and then our mutual friend in Patricia, I guess we clicked a little bit. We became friends and just hung out every now and then of like, we talk about like memes and stuff, like talk about, I don't know if you ever heard about this, but there's a fun secret board on Facebook called BU Confessions that I was a big fan of.
Really? Do you know if it still exists?
It kind of died out freshman year, but let me tell you, there's also one called BU Crushes. And let me tell you, like in the last like few months of its lifespan, like 90% of the posts were all by me. I was single-handedly keeping both pages alive. And I probably posted some stuff on there that I shouldn't have. It was like my like own journal on there, really. But it was public and anonymous. It was kind of more exciting that way.
Man, I wish I knew about that.
Well, me and Melissa went through it when we started like talking officially, and what is it? But yeah, we stayed friends, and I think what's odd or interesting about our current relationship is like our friendship. We always talk to each other about like our crushes or like our current relationships over the course of like our friendship, and so we were kind of always like close friends. Of like we would hang out every now and then. We would like be like, oh, who you talking to? It's like, oh, who you talking to? You know, and then so it's interesting to end up I guess where we are now, maybe potentially a Disney Channel original script, if you will, where it's like, we're interested in other people, but the real relationship was the friends we made along the way.
But actually that was pretty good, I'll give you that. That was interesting. I actually didn't know that. It's not just Aaron Pod exclusive for me.
And I guess anyone who doesn't know me.
That's true, but it's not that interesting if they don't know you, I guess. I don't know.
Ouch.
Well, I didn't mean it that way. It's just, I personally don't get invested in strangers' relationships, except for Kanye West and Julia Fox.
That's true. Well, I would just like to say that I think I'm very interesting. Okay. And so, but I understand if you don't care because you don't know me, so no harm done.
Well, as for me, I am currently single, and I have been forever. So, not a whole lot to it. Well, okay, that's not 100% true. I am single, but there is more to it, I guess. I suppose I am talking to someone now, in quotation marks. He will remain nameless for now.
We're not going to call him anything?
No, he's just a fella. That's all he is right now.
Is he a fella or is he a fella?
I don't know.
Is he a fella? Or is he a fella? I don't know. This joke didn't work. It didn't work. It was.
I don't know what you mean.
One had more of a spicy connotation. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
It didn't work.
So I guess I met him on Hinge, which is the
is this the meet cute?
I mean, sorta. We haven't actually really met yet. But saw him on Hinge. Thought he was cute. Oh, for those who don't know, Hinge is like, it's a dating app, but it's one that's like more focused on actually finding relationships. It's not like for hookups, but I would assume that people still use it for hookups. And also the thing about it is that you only have like a limited number of swipes per day. So you have to like be intentional.
Isn't that the same on Tinder?
No. Maybe, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Well, if it's the same on Tinder, then a swipe limit is like insanely high. I think it's probably like to prevent spam or something like that, or like bots.
I think like you can reject as many as you want, but you can only accept a couple. And then you can like pay for more.
That's wild. Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
I haven't used Tinder like that, but I know Bumble, it's more or less unlimited. Freshman
year, I helped someone go through Tinder, but the thing is I think it wasn't super serious because it was just like, it was like swipe, which is the good one, left or right? It's left, right?
It's right.
Right is when you approve?
Yes.
Okay, so it was anyone with a dog in their picture, right. Anyone without, left. Like, wow. And that it was just kind of goofy, but yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it was like we ran out and it was like, oh, you can buy more or just wait a day.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Not just Arin exclusive, if you will.
But anyways, met him on Hinge. I gave him a rose, which is like more than a like. I think you get like one free one every so often. And I thought he was especially cute, so I gave him one. And I didn't really expect to hear much because I don't find much luck on these platforms. I thought I did once. Actually started talking to someone off the platform and it just kind of died out. I just felt like they were trying really hard to impress me for some reason, and I don't like that.
Interesting.
The previous guy, the one who I thought was trying too hard, that was on Bumble. I added him on Discord because Bumble, this has to be intentional, and it feels shady, but they don't send you notifications when someone sends you a message all the time. So I don't know what's going on there. So we moved to Discord, and anything that I would talk about, he would just be like, yeah, I'll do whatever. Like I mentioned, I like the game RimWorld to him. He was like, oh, is there a multiplayer? Like we can play together. I'm like, sir, I just met you. Pump the brakes. So I don't know. It wasn't. Also, it felt like a lot of the time that I was like carrying the conversation, just like talking about things, and you're just being like, cool. I was like, okay. One of us is putting in more effort than the other. Anyways, fast forward to this new person.
So wait, you were putting more effort, but they were like saying yes to everything?
Well, yeah, but it was like I don't know, I can't explain it. I felt like I was talking more than he was.
Do you think he was just trying to speed run? I don't know. Do you think he was just trying to speed run the relationship?
I honestly don't know. It might have just been an experience.
Any percent?
I can't really fault him for that, but we weren't vibing. He failed the vibe check. Anyways, this other guy gave him a rose. It was like, oh, you're cute, or whatever.
You said that?
I think my actual message was pretty and the two like blushing emojis. Because he had like really nice blue eyes. So I was like, oh, I got caught off guard by it. Hence why I sent the rose.
I don't know if you ever told me this, but I guess like, was he, I don't know if it matters, but I'm curious. What was his, I guess, ethnicity?
He's white.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So after that, I can't remember how much time passed, but he messaged me back. Did not get a notification by the way. I had to go on the app and I saw that I had a message. It was like, where did this come from? And that's why I don't like the apps. They're kind of shady. Anyways, he sends me a Snapchat. I add him on Snapchat. We start talking for like a day. So I add him like on a Thursday and he starts messaging me on a Friday, like Friday morning or something like that. Friday morning or Friday afternoon. And I thought he was all right. I did tell you and Melissa about this, but he was sending me shirtless pictures, which was a little, unexpected. They were technically...
But not unwelcomed.
Yes, they were technically unsolicited, but I didn't mind them.
So it was a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one.
Yeah.
Do you know that meme?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Didn't send me any wiener pics, thankfully. This is Snapchat, so it's kind of... You could send a clandestine wiener if you wanted to.
What the heck does clandestine mean?
Like, undercover, sneaky, secret. So, he didn't do that, but he got very close a couple of times. And
a clandestine wiener pic sounds kind of funny though. Like imagine he just like, hey, this is what my room looks like, and then like you have to really zoom in like a Where's Waldo to find out it's actually a dick pic. Like,
yeah, it sounds funny in theory, but imagine you're someone else.
Okay, I guess this is true. It's more like maybe in a fictional setting, like in like
Sure.
a movie or something. But I guess I understand, like, I don't know. Maybe it sounds funny if I know the person or like maybe just hypothetically. Anyway.
So we talked for a couple of days, and eventually he stops responding to my messages. And I'm like, oh goodness, what did I do wrong? Like, because I had admitted to him that, oh, I'd never like gotten this far in conversation with anyone from a dating app. So I'm like, oh, excited. And so this was the weekend that was supposed to snow, and it barely snowed. So I was like, oh, I wouldn't mind meeting up at some point, but I can't really this weekend or this upcoming weekend because I have to work on Saturday, which wasn't true. And I found out I didn't have to work on Saturday. And it was supposed to snow. And the snow, number one, it didn't stick. And it made like no hazard on the road. So there was no reason for that. So we didn't end up meeting. This was last weekend. And so all this week or last week, the timeline, it's getting messed up in my head. Time is weird. Eventually he stops responding to my messages. And I feel like, I may have done something wrong. I start second guessing and everything. And so eventually the weekend that we were supposed to meet comes, and I just sent him a message Friday when I get in my car after work being like, hey, if you're still there, I didn't say that, but if you're still there, I'm still willing to meet up. Don't know why I did that, by the way, because it felt like he ghosted me, right? And I guess by definition he did, but I feel like I was being far too forgiving in that situation, honestly, with a perfect stranger. But I just said, hey, if you're still willing to meet up, I am too. I don't have to work this weekend, blah, blah, blah. And so the next day in the morning, he responds to me just as I'm about to leave to purchase a shelf for my pantry. That's not really important, but that's what I was doing at the time. And I get a notification from Snapchat that he starts typing. Because Snapchat, when you like send a message, it sends you a notification when they're typing, and then it sends you a notification when they send the message. So I see the typing message, and I'm like, oh, here it is. I'm about to get turned down. Oh, Lord. All right. Time to face it like a woman. But no, he tells me that he like had the flu and was like sick, allegedly. Don't know if that's actually true. I'm willing to believe him, but like, I don't know.
I'm feeling like I'm gonna call a little sus. I feel like having the flu usually is not one of the symptoms of having the flu is not an inability to text back.
Well, yeah, but some people just aren't really that good with texting. So I was trying to be understanding in that situation. And apparently, I don't know, he's like pretty sick. So, and hopefully it was actually the flu and not COVID, because I haven't asked him about his vaccination status or anything like that. Because if he turns out to be an anti-vaxxer, it's going to be really unfortunate, because I am kind of looking forward to seeing him. But yeah, if he is more well than we are, well, we haven't planned anything yet, but tomorrow I plan to message him being like, hey, if you're like not sick anymore and like not contagious, then what's good? So yeah, hopefully it goes okay. If it doesn't, I mean, it's not like I'm not used to this, so I feel like at my big age of 22, it's not that big of a deal for me. I will say when he stopped like replying to my messages, I did feel like kind of bad for like a day, and then the next day I like didn't care. So, and then by Friday I was like, I might as well give him a chance, like, but the worst thing that could happen is he could just say no. The long form of my relationship status is that I'm single, but, might have a date, which doesn't really mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. But this will be, if it ever happens, the second ever date I've been on, so that's cool.
Have you ever told me what and when the first was?
Well, I haven't, but we could talk about it now. That's the next
Sounds
topic.
Juicy.
All right, so in college, I really tried to make, a genuine go at the whole relationship thing, because when I was in high school, I was very unfortunately had a crush on this one boy since from 8th grade to like 12th grade. This one guy was on my mind, could not get past him, could not look at anybody else. I only had eyes for him. But the thing about that was that he had like a girlfriend that entire time, except for like senior year. And he also did not like me. Not just was not attracted to me, but also I don't think he liked me as a person. So it was honestly kind of paradoxical. So the date I had, it was, man, I might actually start crying because of this.
Okay, we don't have to do it then.
No, this is good. This is good content.
This is the content.
Yes. So freshman year of college, I am in a brand new place with brand new people. Nobody from my high school is at my college. I'm like, honestly, have a fresh slate. And so I guess as a little orientation thing, one of the creative writing professors had like a barbecue at his house. And so a group of us went. I didn't have a car this time, so I had to like carpool. So I went with some people and we went to his house. By the way, his house is massive. I don't know how much writing books gets you for like money, but this man was loaded. So we went to this one professor's house for like a cookout, and I was kind of nervous, so I didn't even really eat that much. But the first thing I see when I walk in is this tall redhead with like freckles and a beard, and I'm like, oh my goodness, who is this kid? At first I think he's like his son because he was just there, and also I think he was like the first one who was there. But eventually I figure out that he's like a student and he just got there early. And so I am essentially mesmerized by this guy. Honestly, like really strong attraction like right away. And so I don't really talk to him like one-on-one a whole lot because like I don't know, at that point in time definitely, but like this is all new people. I'm like kind of nervous, right? This is, it's just a new environment. So I did not get his name that night, and I kind of, was like wondering like, man, who is this guy? Like, okay, he goes to my school and he's like a senior. So I gotta find out who he is. And so this was September 3rd, it was the day after my birthday. And then the next day was like Labor Day? Yeah, Labor Day. That was that Monday. So I honestly spent like the entire day on the phone with my friends, just like talking about this guy that I saw. Right. So it kind of hit me like a dump truck. And so over the course.
Did he have a dump truck?
No, he was a tall, thin man.
Okay.
So over the course of the week, I eventually spot him around campus, which isn't hard because Belhaven is like the tiniest college campus ever. And oh my God, I remember when I did this too. This is honestly so embarrassing looking back, but I'm going to say it for posterity. But I'm buying my textbooks and I see him. I'm in the student center and I see him out the window. And I start running outside to catch up with him. Be like, hey, what's your name? And he tells me, I'm like, okay, great. And I think he was on his way to a class or something because he honestly seemed a little bit bothered that I just like stopped him. And here I am running with a backpack on.
You ran to catch him?
I didn't run. I like jogged. I made an effort to pick up speed to catch up with him. And yeah, that was a thing that happened, and that was a little embarrassing. And so this was like the beginning, first semester of freshman.
Okay, so you caught him. Then what?
I got his name, and he like left because he had to go to class. So over the course of like that entire week, I figure out we have some classes together. One was a graphic design class, and that might have been the only one. Maybe, I don't know. So we had this graphic design class together, which meant I would see him for at least a couple of days every week, which is like great for me.
You said that eye candy. Can't get enough.
I mean, I guess. And so, over that time, I had to work up the courage to like ask him out. And I remember this too. Oh God, this is all coming back to me. I remember this so vividly because at this point I was keeping a journal like every day. And being the person that I am, I like to like go back and read old journal entries and like reminisce. So I would read these quite often back then. We had some project where we had to like use an X-Acto knife to do something, and I hadn't bought one yet, so I borrowed his. And so at the end of class, he like leaves. I'm like, oh, I have his X-Acto knife. I need to give it to him. So I follow him like down the hallway in the arts building. And I'm like, hey, here's your X-Acto knife. And I turn around and I leave. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, if I don't do this, I'm gonna like regret this. So I turn back around and I'm like, hey, what do you think about like going out on a date? And to my surprise, he says yes. And I'm like, what? What's going? Oh, he said yeah. Okay, I don't know what to do next. And so he gives me his number, and we honestly don't even talk that much, but we like text. Not even a whole lot back and forth. I was honestly so nervous. I didn't want to say something that would like mess up my chances, so I had to like say nothing, I guess. And so
that's partly why you didn't talk a lot.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I thought it was like a conversation here and there, but you're like, no, say nothing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I see him in class, and so I figure that's enough. Spoiler alert, it was not enough. I felt like, so that must have happened on like a Monday, and we had scheduled to go out that Saturday. And that week is the most confident I've ever felt in my entire life. And that is no exaggeration. Because I don't even know why. It felt like I had finally, like, I don't know, not proved my worth, but like, I don't even know how to describe it, honestly. It felt like I had finally, like, accomplished something that I had really wanted to accomplish, let's say. And this is just a first date, mind you. So yeah, I was kind of doing the most at the moment. So for like that week, I felt like, we were kind of, we may have been vibing a little bit, but the day of the date comes, our scheduled outing was to see the movie It in theaters.
It's a good one.
It's a good one, but it's, as I have learned, not good for a first date. So this was 100% my fault. I, at the time, thought, everything went well, and I could definitely tell that the vibes were off at the end of the date, but what had happened was he was driving us, and I get in his car, and we drive to the theater, completely silent, not talking to each other at all. Because at this point, I'm just amazed that I even got a guy who I thought was like so handsome and like, oh my goodness. And he was like a good writer and just like, I thought he was so amazing. And I was honestly just kind of amazed that I had gotten him to like agree to go on a date with me. So I was still just kind of like stuck on that, like, what is going on? So I kind of just don't say anything the entire time. And so
you said the say anything strat. I have to, or don't say nothing strat. I'm committed to it. I did it over text. I'm doing it in person.
Exactly. And so we get to the theater, and I'm like, I had this in my head. I had the strat in my head. And I'm like, hey, if I get scared, can I hold your hand? And he's like, yeah. And so I grab his hand. And I don't let go. And
you said, I'm scared.
I guess I was.
Was this before the movie started?
Yes, this is during the previews. And so I grab his hand and I don't let go for the entire 2 hours that we're sitting there. And eventually our hands get like sweaty and it's just weird. It's just weird all around. And
you have told me this story.
Yeah, I think I have.
It's fun to hear it again though.
Yeah. So the movie ends. We're still not talking to each other. And we go out in the parking lot, and he like...
You're still holding his hand?
Yes, but the thing is, he like shoved his hands in his pocket so that I wouldn't.
But
I yanked him out anyway.
You gripped on tighter. You followed his hand into his pocket.
No, I like pull it out of his pocket. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's a little aggressive.
Out loud after the fact is like, what on earth was I thinking?
Now, wait, on this whole date, has either of you said a word to each other?
I mean, we were talking, but we weren't making like substantial conversation.
Okay, well, see, you're making it sound like way worse than it is. It sounds like you got in the car, maybe both said like, hey, hey, or something, and then you sat there in silence. The car right there. Then it's like you got out of the car. Silence. You said like, hey, can I grab your hand if I get scared? Like the death grip. And then you just silence the whole movie. The movie ends.
Yeah, essentially, yes, that was what happened.
No, not essentially. I mean, like...
No, I'm telling you that is what happened. Because I can't... The only thing that I remember asking him was how tall he was.
I think you blacked out.
No, I'm guaranteed... I promise you, we did not speak to each other. When we got into the parking lot, I was like, man, how tall are you? And he told me he was like 6'4", and apparently...
He was very tall. That's very tall.
Exactly. He was like obscenely tall. And so he told me like apparently I still remember this for some reason, but apparently his dad is like way taller, and he got this growth plate thing on his hand. That's what he said. And apparently he was supposed to be taller than that, but no, that was the extent of our conversation. Oh my goodness. So I don't expect our viewers to know what I'm talking about here, but I'm going to ask you. So you know when you're in the UV parking lot at night, sometimes you can see like those 2 water towers? Mm-hmm. So we're walking back into the UV because we both lived there.
Which parking lot?
The bridge side.
Okay.
And I look at those 2 water towers and they're like lit up and it's like night and they're very large, right? And I point to them and I go, oh, is that the moon? And no, it's very obviously not the moon. The moon is not that big, okay? And so we walk inside and we get to his door and he's like, hey, so will I see you again? He was like, you know what? I'll let you know, which basically means no. And so I walk away from that feeling like, oh, yes, I killed it. This is amazing.
You said, he'll let me know. Let's go.
Exactly. And so I remember writing in my journal that night, being very confident that we were going to have a second date. And eventually he stops replying to my texts.
Oof.
We still have class together, so we still have to see each other. So it's still kind of awkward. And like, since we did live in the same building, I would like honestly just follow him. We were walking together, but like I could tell he probably did not want to walk with me. So
if you're ever walking behind someone,
I wasn't walking behind him though. I was walking next to him. Like I would leave the same time he did.
Bro, you gotta
specifically so that we could walk together back to our dorm.
But he said he would let you know, Aaron. You.
Listen, I'm not saying that this was like a good strategy. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was just kind of mesmerized by the whole prospect that this was a possibility. So I was like,
did he ever speed up?
No, I don't think so. He was not a rude person. He was actually very nice throughout this whole ordeal. Mm. And so eventually October rolls around. Now this whole whirlwind, me meeting him and then like my final rejection, this takes place in like a month. Mm. And that was legitimately the longest month of my life. Mm-hmm. Even through like COVID and everything like that, that month lasted so long. September 2017. Very long month. Mm. So October rolls around and I'm like, hey, so when's that second date? Mm. And he tells me, I'm like a lone wolf. That's the term that he used. And I just don't think that we're whatever. I can't even remember what he said. I just remember the lone wolf thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, all right. And so I wrote a very sad journal entry that night. That was kind of that. And then
you said, oh no, he's a furry.
No, he was not a furry. So we still had to see each other in class, which was just fantastic. Eventually we have this project. And I was actually going through my pictures today and I found the project. But we had to like do some kind of collage. This is for a graphic design class, right? Uh-huh. We had to do some kind of collage, and the collage that I made, I'm going to show you, but I'm going to describe it as best as I can. So it's a woman with her brain exposed, and she's like crying, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's various hands offering her things to make her feel better. One of them is a syringe, which symbolizes like medication. Mm-hmm. Another one is like a hand holding burning sage, which is like alternative medicine. Another one is a phone with like an article on it that says 45 ways to be happier instantly, which is like just BS advice. Another one is like a mug of beer. Another one is, I think this is a pill, which is again like medication. Another one is tissues, and another one is a rosary. And the rosary is where I gravely messed up. So some lore about me. I am agnostic. I don't believe in the God. I don't subscribe to that. So I thought,
That's not what agnostic means.
Well, don't tell me what I believe, Joseph.
I'm not telling you what you believe.
I know, I'm simplifying it. I'm grossly simplifying it for the purposes of this. I was trying to make a point here. You can see it now. I was just trying to make a point that, when you're like legitimately depressed, people can offer you all these things and it might not like work out for you. I kind of forgot what the project was even supposed to be about, but we had to present them to the entire class. And so I present mine and I was feeling pretty good about it. And then this girl in my class starts crying because she says, now I should have known my audience at this point, but I did not. This is freshman year at this Christian college. I clearly didn't know what I was getting into. But she says that when she was depressed and like, I don't know if she said she was like self-harming, but she was in like a really bad point and she like found God and it like helped her. And I was like, just I was sitting there at my computer just like wanting to crawl out of my skin because everyone was like crowded around me in like a semicircle while this girl is crying and just like looking at me and I'm like, oh geez, what the heck is this is like the worst. And then he starts tearing up being like, yeah, I kind of agree with her. When I was like feeling really bad, religion was there to help me. I'm like, oh my goodness, if I ever had a chance before, I absolutely do not have a chance now. And that was so unbelievably terrible. Oh my God.
How would you compare singled life versus coupled life? But actually, you should be asking me that because you just talked a whole bunch.
Well, I'm sorry. I had a lot to say, okay?
No, I enjoyed it.
Oh, that's good. So yeah, well, you've experienced both of them, so I think you would have something to say about this. So, what's it like being in a long-term committed relationship? Because you and Melissa have been together for like 2 years now, which honestly, I think I remember like when you two first started to be like an item, and that doesn't seem like very long ago to me. Like I can remember that time, but it is a long time for some people. So,
well, I feel like first I want to think about single life, because I feel like that, I guess, is, given the time that it's a bit more difficult to remember. But I don't know, I guess like friends are like sort of, I guess, more of a priority, which, like, not to say that they aren't a priority when you're in a relationship. It's just, I think like friends are number one, and then like they kind of get like down to number two when it's like you start dating someone, maybe, or like maybe you've been dating someone for a little bit. But I don't know, I think like I guess like for me at least, single life versus like dating life, what I like remember of it is like I feel like I'm a very romantic person, so I've always liked the idea of like being in a relationship, and I've always liked the idea of like being with someone. And so like when I was like single, it's like that was like always like the one thing on my mind of like being in a relationship and like meeting someone, the meet cute callback. But what is it? So it's like I feel like I would like, maybe I have like a good chat with someone, and I'm like, ooh, what about them? And then like maybe they say something, and they say something where I'm like, maybe not them. Or like I see someone across the way, and I'm like, oh, that person's cute. It's like, what about them? And then so just kind of like, I think when I'm single, that's like everything that's going on my mind. But I think like one thing that like really has its pros and cons is like how like you schedule your time, where it's like I think I saw like a YouTube video of someone complaining about this, of like, this is why it sucks to be in a relationship, is because it's like when you want to, which I don't agree with this, I'm just it's just like, oh, when you want to eat, it's like where do both of you want to eat? It's like when you want to watch something, what do both of you want to watch something? And so it's like you're always planning for two, and I think some people think that's a downside, and I guess I'm not.
So I do kind of a little bit sympathize with those posts, because I myself feel like I'm a very independent person, and I do value my independence. And so like the thought of having to kind of do something like that, like make food for two people, not even just making food for two people, but not just making what I want to eat, but what someone else wants to eat too, and like taking their opinions and stuff into account. But then I think about it, and it's like, okay, if I'm with this person, clearly I like them a lot, so then it wouldn't like matter. And so that's kind of how I think about that.
Yeah, I think like it's not necessarily a downside. What is it? There was something I was thinking while you were saying that. I was thinking that I think maybe like not every relationship, probably majority of them are going to be like that, but not everyone is going to be like, you have to like be thinking about the other person. Like some, I guess, I don't know of any relationships that aren't like that, but I bet there are some out there. And like, it's not like you have to make all decisions together, but it's like you kind of have to take it into account of like, getting a new job and like moving cross country is a lot easier when you're single. Not that I've ever done that, but it's like, it really like, now does the other person have a job? Do they want to follow you? Like all of that. And so,
well, I mean, if you just think about it, like if I was in a relationship with someone when I was living back in Alabama, then that would probably be like a serious question and consideration that I would have to think about when I got my job here, because like, have to move two people across states. And I mean, they're right by each other, so it's not really that hard, but also, maybe this person doesn't want to live in Mississippi for very valid reasons. So, that's definitely interesting. Actually, I think my dad told me something about that. So when my mom and dad were like married, and I think I was around at this time, but my dad got a job offer in like Maryland. And he asked my mom, like, hey, we should move to Maryland, because it was Baltimore. Because, our kids, they'll probably have like a better life and better opportunities than they would have had if they were just living in my hometown, which is very small. However, I mean, considering Baltimore, who knows? But my mom didn't want to do that because she had already like established her life in my hometown and like had friends and a job and, me and my brother were little, so it was probably going to be a bit difficult to like move us across country from like Alabama to Maryland. That's definitely something to consider. And then kids add like a whole nother layer, but we're not going to get into like.
Okay, we're not talking about kids right now.
No, we're just talking about intimate partners.
But I guess like going back to my like starting point is like, I think the biggest, maybe the two biggest differences for me at least that I can think of are like, when I'm single, I feel like I'm always looking for someone, and I guess when I'm in a relationship, I'm not. And then just focusing on them. And then like in regards to plans, it's like sort of when you're single, you can, I guess, sort of do whatever you want, but it's like when you are like you can do things on whims and stuff like that.
Not do things if you don't want to.
And but when you're in a relationship, it's, I guess, like you need to typically take the other person into account, and like, I don't know, a lot of big decisions, and then even some like the daily decisions. Mm-hmm. And I guess I hadn't thought about the question that much, but those are the two off the top of my head of like the differences between it. But it's also like, I don't know, time is going by fast, where it's like we've been dating for 2 years, but it doesn't feel like that long. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, try to think back to like being single, and I'm like, okay, I don't remember. Like, yeah.
I will say I did notice there is like, I won't say, well, yeah, it was a change in you when, at some point when I asked you, like, hang out, eventually you would start saying, like, yeah, let me ask Melissa, instead of just saying, like, yeah, sure. So, and I will say, I don't know if I'm, like, not necessarily cut out for dating, but if that's, like, even something that I want, because, I don't know, I've barely had a taste of just being out in this world on my own, and then, like, trying to involve someone else into all of this is like, I don't know if I want that. Let's talk about some of your past relationships. You've already touched on in a previous podcast.
The tall woman from Texas. Lady D.
Who ripped your heart out and stepped
viciously,
on it.
And then like threw stepped on it repeatedly. And then like a couple months go by, step on it again.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Did she end up getting married?
Yeah, to like a very like, I thought we talked about this. Are we just like talking about it for the sake of the podcast? Well, I know you told me she got engaged,
but I don't know if she ever like went through with it.
Yeah, she got married, and like the dude's a tool. Like he's.
Let's just say he was at the Capitol on January 6th.
Well, let's just say
allegedly.
I wouldn't say he reasons. Was, but I would definitely say he probably wanted to be. No, I mean like not even dancing around it. The dude is like very racist and very sexist and like just all around a terrible guy, which like kind of for me at least begs the question, like how really well did I know her? Is she racist? I mean, she kind of joked about sexist things, which is
strange.
Yeah,
as a woman.
Like she would really like joke about like haha, women are property. Like I'm not joking, but like you just assume it's like she's making fun of it. But now like with the person she married, it's like maybe she thought it was real. Maybe she really felt that way.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Well, how did that ordeal even start? Like,
well, I have a relationship before that, right?
I did not know this.
Yeah, I do. Well, okay, so I have one relationship before the tall woman, but then it's sort of like I'm always like hesitant to count it or not, because it's like there's some things about it where it's like we were together for a year, but we
for real.
Mm-hmm. This was in high school.
This is okay. Mm-hmm. This is a different one.
We were together for a year, and like I've only been in 3 relationships, I guess, just so you know. Had countless crushes, but only 3 relationships. And this was high school. And what is it? We were together for like a year, but like her dad was like particularly strict and was like, yo, you want to date? Like, you got to read all of Proverbs, and like, you got to like. I remember this. Yeah. And so like, you got to read all of Proverbs, and like, you got to ask me, and like, really strong, which like, I don't know. I was just like, oh, okay, she's cute. Like, I'll jump through the hoops. Like,
oh my God.
In hindsight, it was a little extreme for like even most kind of like Southern dads. But so like, and it was like you can't date until 16, and she.
Yeah, I feel like that's a common rule for. I don't know why specifically 16 though.
Which I think that part. I don't know. I think like it is a bit extreme, but at the same time, I don't know if I necessarily disagree with all of it, because I think thinking about how I would want to raise my kids is like just knowing how, I don't know, how dumb kind of younger relationships are, even in early college. I feel like I will actively discourage my children from dating just because, like, I don't know. I guess personally, I don't know if anyone's really like ready for like a committed relationship until they're like 20, you know, like a genuine, like mature relationship.
I'm going to disagree with that. Not the ready for a committed relationship, but actively discouraging your kids from dating.
We'll see. I mean, because
I feel like you're just going to do it anyway.
No, I guess like none of that's set in stone. It's just like the way I'm thinking about like my life. You know what I mean? Like trying to, I guess it's the sort of like maybe not hypocritical, but like the thing where it's like parents trying to help their kids avoid their mistakes, but also kind of your mistakes are a big part of like who you are and form you. And so
you learn from them.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's not like I'm like set on doing that. It's just more like really emphasizing like, hey, like maybe not actively like, not like laying down the law like you can't date, but like actively being like, maybe just kind of telling the facts of like, yo, this relationship like may not work out. Like you're young.
Yeah, I feel
and
like that's a better strategy.
That's kind of the same advice I've like offered to my brother when he was in high school, of just like he'd be talking to some cutie and be like really stressed about it and like really like, hey man, I don't know. And I'm gonna be like, hey, like, you know, she sounds nice. It's great that like you're both enthusiastic, but like realistically, it's like a lot can change between now and in college, you know? And so, anyway, I guess I don't really count it sometimes. I guess I'm counting it more now. At first, I did not count it because it's like we were together for a year, but like because of how strict her dad was with like, you can't date until you're 16, and she was 13 and 14 when I guess we dated. It wasn't technically, according to her dad, we were not dating. We were just friends that hung out like 24/7 or as much as we could. This relationship, I'm towards the end, I think, of my sophomore year of high school. And I'm wanting to branch out, make friends, like, and because that's only my like second year living in Mississippi, and so don't know a lot of people, kind of shy, and so some of my friends are doing theater, and I guess I've never been like brave enough to like give acting a shot other than my improv class, and so not quite doing theater for like the acting, but more like the behind the scenes side of it. So like. I guess signed up to do the play, got to hang out with some people I like, and I guess I noticed this girl. I'm like, oh, she's pretty cute. And then let's just say like, I think we get along, like we kind of just like bond a little bit, like just kind of hung out, like text. Actually, we didn't text at all. I think we just hung out at the theater stuff, the play rehearsal. And, you know, I was trying to be cute. And so it's like, oh, like, you know, sit next to her and stuff like that. And like, and I think that definitely gave like some signals of just like, oh, hey, like, you know, asking someone like, oh, hey, can I go sit next to her? And I think she noticed that and liked it. And so time advances. This has to be like fall of sophomore year. Then Valentine's Day rolls around. You know, now we're in the spring. You know, things are in bloom. Love being one of them.
Yep.
And I like, you know, schools do that thing where you can give out like Valentines, or you can do like grams or something, candy grams or whatever. And I was really like, oh man, should I do one? Like, I was like, oh, should I do one? And then like, eventually I just let the opportunity slip by. But then what happened was, I think my mom asked me, like, we were literally like, she was like, hey, do you want to do one? And then I was like, this is my second chance. This is God being like, yo, you messed up. Do that again, run it again. And then so I like ran in, I like filled out the little form, gave the front desk lady like $5 or something for this. And then we wait for like the day. And I guess an important detail is like, I'm not going to say the message yet, but I only signed it like Joseph. Which there's a couple of Josephs at the school, but I thought given our like interactions that she would be like, oh, okay, it's this one.
Oh goodness.
But
I already see how this is going.
Anyway, so I think like the day of Valentine's Day, where it's like, I know she got it. By the way, the play got like canceled because like I think because like the theater, the person who puts on the play kind of like, I guess, had a breakdown and was like, I'm not doing this anymore. These students won't learn their lines and like all sorts of other stuff. It was kind of weird because it was like, what I got from the students was this happens every year. Like it's always a mess until it just comes together. But I guess the lady just had enough of it and she was like, no, you guys need to learn your lines and like, I'm not doing this anymore. And so we didn't see each other for a little bit after that, when that ended. But I think the day of like Valentine's Day, I think like I know she got it, and so I believe I like sent her like a Facebook friend request. like I was like, okay, she got it, now slide in, you know. Then I think she added me back. Then like we kind of like started messaging each other on Facebook. And the funny thing is that like she didn't know that it was from me. She was like, oh, I thought it was like this other Joseph. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know you like interacted with either of them, so I just thought you would know it was me. And then my message wasn't overly romantic. It was just like, all I said was, I think you're pretty cool.
That's it.
Yeah. But I don't know. I didn't want to come on too strong. I didn't want to be like, I love you or something like.
I mean, literally anything other than I think you're pretty cool.
I don't know.
That's like a friend.
Maybe I thought it was like slick or something. Like, I don't know.
I guess.
I guess I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know, like, should I be like, oh, you're beautiful. Like, here's my number. Like, I don't know. I was just like, I think you're pretty cool. Like, and then over the course of our like Facebook messages, I guess she was like, yeah, I think clearly the message didn't work on her. And so like I had to elaborate. I had to separate the two words. I had to be like, I think you're pretty and I think you're cool. You know what I mean? And I think that was what really got her. Now, this is where it gets like slightly, I feel like juicy is the wrong word, but like this is where the plot thickens, let's say, because I knew she was younger than me because, so I'm in like, what is it? I'm in 10th grade. And then I thought she was younger than me by like a year or like maybe 2, which like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of this. Basically, I
sent a Valentine to a 5th grader. What the heck, Joseph?
No, it wasn't that bad. No, I was just going to say that like, I don't know. I think there's like an age gap between my parents. I know of a lot of people with like age gaps and significant age gaps, but it's like, you know, it's not like I want to be like a 15-year-old dating a 5-year-old, you know what I mean? But like,
I hope so.
But like, I guess age gaps, like they can be bigger, like the older you are, I guess. But at this age, when it's like still young and in high school, I was like, yeah, 2 years, nothing. But during our like, I guess exchanging, you know, adding each other on Facebook, getting Snapchat and stuff like that, I learned that she was not 2 years younger than me. I learned she was 3 years younger than me, which
to make her.
I was 16 and she was 13.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like a little iffy, and I guess a little iffy in hindsight, but at the time we might have been, I don't know. I guess I don't know if that makes it better. Maybe I was like 15 and she was 13, and then like, yeah. Anyway, me, I was like, oh shoot, well, like, I guess I was okay with 2 years. I don't know how I feel about 3 years. But for me, I don't know. I guess I thought that if I stopped showing interest because of that extra year, I thought that would be shallow. So I was like, that was my fear. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, well, I think I'm committed. I don't know if I'm allowed to think that extra year means that much, which I think it did. Yeah. But I don't know. This was my headspace at the time. I get what are your thoughts? I feel like I'm getting a little sweaty, feeling a little self-conscious about the age gap, which like I acknowledge it's a bit significant for the time and like the age, but like I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you did say you didn't like it, but I don't really understand you thinking it's shallow for like age. That doesn't quite make sense to me. But again, you are like 15, so not a lot of things that 15-year-olds do make sense. So it's really all I think about it.
Because it was basically like, oh, I thought like I'm in 10th grade, she's in 8th grade, which doesn't sound that bad. But then it was like I found out she was in 7th grade, and I was like, oh, yeah. Oh. Okay, I'm.
Well, I know, but yeah. I guess then her dad's reaction kind of makes sense. Because you're like halfway into high school and she's like just entered middle school. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it was towards the end of middle school with like spring of that year. You know what I mean?
Sure.
it was, I guess her dad did have like his rules. So it's like he didn't really consider it dating. And like we never, I guess, hung out unchaperoned pretty much. And then like the most we ever did was hold hands. So it was a very like,
I don't know. That's
it's before marriage. I'm podcast exclusive. I'm going to hell. Yeah, in my mind, I was really worried, like, oh, I can't, like, even though we're not a thing yet, I was like, oh, I can't, like, break up with her because, like, one extra year, you know what I mean? I was really kind of, like, paranoid about that. I was like, well, I guess I'm in too deep, like.
But why not, though? Because I feel like that's a valid reason not to want to date someone, because they're too young.
It wasn't that they were too young. It was just like, oh, it's the difference between 2 years and 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, it just seemed not like enough of a reason to me.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, I guess I do acknowledge at the time that like, or in hindsight, it's not the best. Anyway, so then we kind of started chatting, hanging out. I think we really like bonded. I really liked her siblings. I liked her family. Her dad was a little tough, but...
Well, in hindsight, kind of.
Well, he's actually kind of like tough in general. It wasn't just on me.
Oh.
It was like even with his older children, like I think he was really strict, and even in like hindsight, may have been like, I guess, very similar to like my own dad in like the controllingness of it. Which, not to say like him, I guess, being defensive of me is like wrong. I just think like I don't know how well I like knew him, you know, because like since then, like her parents have like divorced, and like he seems, I don't know, he just kind of said some weird things every now and then where it was just like, he was like, yo, if I could go back and never get married, he was like, I would definitely do that. So and it's like
he was a wife bad boomer.
Maybe. I mean, he wasn't that old, but like it was weird because
it's a state of mind.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. He really liked like the Bible thing where it was like, he was like, if you have to date or get married, then like you should, but like really you should like be celibate your whole life if you can help it.
Interesting.
Which is weird because it's like he's married to like an attractive wife. He has like 3 kids, but I think I don't
want to be too presumptuous here, but I don't know, maybe it was in the closet.
I don't think so. I don't know.
I don't know. I just know that in certain religious communities, the opinion for gay people is that they should, instead of living their lives and living their truths, they should just remain celibate their whole lives. So that's kind of what made me think of that.
I think like him and his wife fought a lot, and I don't know. I think he's kind of similar to like my own father, and like maybe not nearly as bad, but like I don't know if he was a great dude either. But
yeah,
I feel like I'd have to connect with his kids again to find out anything. But let's see where to go from like I guess the relationship. So I guess like we kind of started.
Well, how did
like,
it end?
How did it end? Well, I guess I'll say like trying to think. We spent a lot of time together. Halloween, seeing movies, like hung out, played video games. So first, this was like a year later. So like now summer of like my junior year. So we hung out a lot because like where I guess I went to high school, it was like a small community, and like the school is like surrounded by like houses. It's kind of like in this, I think based on the population, it's classified as a village. Yeah.
Oh, village.
And so like literally like walking from like the school to her house or her family's house was like literally just crossing the street. And so we would always hang out there afterwards. But like I said, her dad was really strict, where it was like, not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just like, I'm just giving the facts. But he said like no male or female were allowed to be like alone in the house unless they were married. Even for like their older,
just like period.
Even for like I think like their older children who are like in their 20s in college. You know what I mean?
Wild. Okay.
I'm telling you, he was really strict. So anyway, one time I walk from school to her house, and we hang out for like an hour. And then
alone?
And then her dad comes home, and then she's like, oh, frick. I didn't realize she didn't. Neither of us knew no one else was there. That's the thing. Like,
if one of familiar?
If I don't know, I might have told it before. I don't think so.
Okay.
But it's not like a parent has to be there, but like one of the siblings, just someone there, I guess, to make sure We're not up to no good. What?
Accountability.
Accountability. I've never heard that before, but it's funny.
I think it's something recovering addicts use.
Interesting.
To make sure they don't use again.
It's cute.
But also uber religious people to make sure people aren't having the sex. So,
which I guess at the time we were young, but I guess I mean no, like neither of us knew we were like home alone. Like I didn't realize it was just me and her. She didn't realize it was just me and her. But we were alone for like an hour. And even at this point in the relationship, I don't even think we'd held hands yet. And we've been together for a year. Like, I guess it was a very, like, young and innocent relationship. What I think was really dumb, which, like, it's fine. We were young. She was like, oh, shoot, my dad's here and no one else is here. All right, you're leaving out the back. And so she was like, all right, shoving me out the back. And I'm like, I'm not sure if this is the best idea. Why not just, like, be honest about it? And so like I leave out the back, sneak around, she lets her dad in, I wait for a second, and then I come up to the door and she like lets me in. She's like, oh hey, you're here.
Wow.
And like I don't think that was the best move. And basically like then we kind of hang out for like another like 20 minutes or so, maybe 15-20 minutes, and then like her dad comes in and he's like mad, he's like pointing at her. He just points and then and then he's like, you come here. Like not even like verbal, you know what I mean? Just like the power of his finger. And then she's like, oh frick. And just like she goes, they disappear for like 30 minutes. I'm just left in the living room to my own devices. Just like, I was like, I shouldn't have like, I don't know. I didn't know what to do in that situation, but basically they disappear for a while. Then they come back. And then actually, I don't even know if she came back. I think he just came back and was like, he just sat down and he's like talking with me. He's just like, hey, we have a rule here. Like, it's like, no. And then he tells me like the rule, which I think I already knew about it. And I was like, I understand. And I guess like, I don't even know if I had a chance to like say my piece, but it's like, we haven't even like, we've been together a year. We haven't even like held hands. We haven't even like, I don't even know if I've like, I probably like put my arm around her in the past at that point, but like I guess there didn't need to be accountability because we assumed there were people there. You know what I mean? And like we literally, I guess like we just played games for an hour, but he didn't care. He was just like, yeah, you guys broke this rule even unintentionally. So then he was like, you guys aren't seeing each other for a month.
He grounded you.
Yeah.
Somebody else's
He's like, you're forbidden.
Grounded you.
You're forbidden. And
wow.
That I guess that was pretty like tough just because it's like we hung out very frequently.
Are you still going to see each other at school?
I think this was actually like, this was around, shoot, I skipped some juicy details. Let's fast forward, or let's rewind. This was like, I said this was like the end of my junior year. Let's fast forward to like, January, let's say. Couple weeks before Valentine's Day, our 1 year anniversary, if you will. Which even though it wasn't a super serious relationship, is a long time for our age. But what was really weird was like, I guess I don't like curse a whole lot, I guess.
Except for that one time you got spoiled for the next
Yeah. Well, I think in general, I don't curse a whole lot, but that's like, I guess I don't curse a lot openly and around people, depending on the person. There's like a couple people I'll like curse around, and like when I'm by myself, I curse, I guess, a lot, either in my head or just kind of like, I don't know, if I'm mad or frustrated about something. And so I guess my girlfriend at the time, I guess she had this perception of me of like, oh, I'm just like this innocent boy, you know, like a good Christian boy. And I think like I just kind of like nonchalantly like opened up to her like, oh yeah, like I listen to a lot of music with cursing in it. And like when I like, I guess am really mad or like by myself, like I may curse a lot. And like her being like 14, I guess, which not necessarily just the age thing, but like, I guess being together for a year and not really knowing that about me kind of like really freaked her out.
Really?
And she kind of was like, she was like, oh my God, I don't like know this person. Because she had this one perception of me, knew me for a year. And then I kind of like, I'm just like, oh yeah, like I curse a lot. And like, I don't know, I guess we're both like, air quotes, like good Christians. And so like, or like good Christian households. But like, it really freaked her out.
That freaked her out. Okay.
I mean, I guess it shows like our age and her age, I think.
No, I don't think that's age. I think that's just, I don't know.
It's a Christian thing?
Home environment, yeah. Well, I don't even know if it's specifically a Christian thing, because I remember when I was in school, kids were cussing when I was like in the 6th grade. So, I don't know, man.
I mean, it could be a testament to like how strict her dad was, because I think like they didn't listen to like a lot of music with like cursing in it, or like would like skip over it or something like that. Like, I don't know. I think it's an age thing, because like, it's not that I did it that freaked her out. It's that she knew me for a year, and like, I guess that it's like I had this other side to me she didn't know about. You know what I mean? She didn't know I like very profane music. She didn't know, I guess, I don't know if she'd ever seen me like mad before. You know what I mean? So it's like, it just freaked her out, where she's like, I don't know if I know this person. You know what I mean? And I guess I can see it. I can see it a little bit, but at the same time, I think it definitely shows like her age and maturity. Anyway, so then she like doesn't like talk to me for like a week.
Because she found out that you cursed.
Well, she has an existential crisis.
Oh God, that's so wacky to me. I don't know. Man.
I don't know. Then this is still January. So like a week goes by where she like doesn't talk to me. At the end of the week, I'm like, that whole like Friday, I felt like I was gonna like puke. Like I felt terrible. Well, because like I felt like something was coming, and I think maybe I felt that Friday, because I think like Thursday she was like, hey, we should talk, like that sort of thing. And it's like, okay, we didn't talk for a week, now we're talking Friday. Basically, like, we talked Friday, and she's like, hey, like, she gave me like, I think we should take a break kind of talk, of just like, she gave her reasons or whatever, and I honestly don't remember them that much, but I feel like I'm not a very like, what's the right word? I guess I don't like conflict that much. Or I feel like I really try to avoid conflict, and I don't like conflict. So it's like, she didn't talk to me for a week. She comes to me at the end of the week like, hey, we should take a break. And I'm just like, all right, like, I think if you didn't talk to me for a week, you've made up your mind. I don't know what I can say. And so I was just like, all right. And then we just kind of both went our separate ways, and like cried for a bit, for like a couple weeks. Or a week, maybe. So I never like really gave my side of it. And so like then, let's say Valentine's Day rolls around, and then I basically write like a letter, kind of like explaining myself, I guess. Like,
to her?
It's like, yeah, okay. I guess like kind of saying my piece that I didn't when she like broke up with me, basically. And then she likes it. She sends a letter back. I send another letter back. She sends another letter back. And then basically like, I guess we're back together, and we were like broken up for like a month or something. Because I remember it like really sucked, because it was like we broke up like right before our like 1 year anniversary, and then like a month before our 1 year anniversary. But then we got back together on our 1 year anniversary. Yay! And then for like those, like, I don't even remember if it was a week or 2 weeks, but like, I guess that was like a particularly like high point of the relationship, where it's just like felt very close, and like it's like we're back together, yay. And like I think I just felt like very strongly about it. It was also like significant because during that like time frame, after that short time frame after we got back together, she said I love you, basically. And I was like,
basically, or she did
okay. She said I love you, and it was like, okay, that's a big deal. And like that pretty like, I guess like floored me as like, you know, a kid in high school. And it like, what is it? I guess I couldn't say it back at the time. So I spent like a couple days kind of thinking about it, and like, it's like, what is love? You know, just kind of like pondering it. And I guess after like 3 days, I kind of finally could like say it back. And so that was like really like the high point of our relationship. Now we were holding hands, we were hugging, like, you know, it was very, you know,
after a whole year.
I better hope her dad's not listening. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
that's all I'm saying. But that's literally all we did. But yeah, it was really great and really nice. It was really hard for me to like say I love you back. And
why do you think that was?
I guess like not really seeing that with like my parents, I guess, is my genuine, honest answer. Yeah, I guess they gave a good example. I mean, I think that's part of it. I think like they didn't set a good example of like what a loving relationship is. Which, like, that's not putting the blame on both of them. I'm more putting the blame on, I guess, like, my dad than my mom. Because I think my mom's a very loving person. I don't think my dad is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's also, like, I think I really overthink things and really take things, like, try to take things very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, if I say this, I'm gonna, like, mean it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I know from, like, movies and fiction, it's like, oh, that's a big deal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like the L word.
Lesbian.
Yeah. No, lesbians. No, I think it's, like, my first relationship and, like, my first, I guess, romance. And so it's just like, oh, like, this is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so we're back together. We're saying I love you, holding hands. And then the thing is then, like, I guess, like, I get a FaceTime call, and girls, I don't know about you, but girls love FaceTime, and, like,
hate it.
Yeah, I know, me too. But anyway, she really liked FaceTime, being a teenage girl. And what is it? She just seemed really, like, off one of these days. And honestly, this is like 2 weeks, a week or two after getting back together. I don't remember. Like, a week sounds too short, and 2 weeks sounds too long.
Week and a half.
She just seemed off, and so I kept kind of like trying to get an answer from her, like, hey, what's wrong, or whatever. And she, like, then, like, oh my god, this is, like, so high school, like, I hate it, but, like, she then, like, starts crying. She's like, I can't do this, and hangs up. Like,
oh my god,
it's so dramatic. And then, like, I call her back, and I'm like, oh, I love you, what's wrong? It's like, and, like, what is it? Basically, like, she breaks up with me, like, again.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because, like, her family was talking about, like, moving to California. And then my family was also, like, going crazy. They were really, I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but my family was talking about moving to Honduras because they were watching a lot of Alex Jones, and they were like, yo, the world, it's freaking ending. Like,
what year was this?
This had to have been, let's see, we started college this was like 2015, 2016. If we started college in 2017. Yeah, it had to be 2016. Yeah, they thought the world was ending and moving to Honduras because, like, Alex Jones said so.
Jeez.
So that put, like, a lot of stress on the relationship. So basically she kind of broke up with me because of that. Like, her family's moving, my family's moving. We didn't. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert. But yeah, it was basically just like, that isn't gonna work out. And, like, I don't know, I felt the relationship very strongly, and, like, that was definitely very, like, heartbreaking. And I think, like, in hindsight, yeah, it probably wouldn't have worked, like, long distance, especially the age. I think a big traumatic thing for me was the fact that, like, she said, like, I love you, and then, like, broke up with me, like, a week later. Like, that, potentially, for lack of a better word, like, I guess that really, like, fucked with me for, like, a couple years after that. Like, like 2-3 years after that. Mm-hmm. And just because it was very confusing. It's like, oh, did she really mean it? It's like, I know I meant it, but then it's like, I kind of came out of that with that. I kind of came out of that with the philosophy, or, like, the mindset that, like, I guess words don't really, like, matter. What people say doesn't matter. It's more like their actions. And so it's like, she said I love you, but she broke up with me. And so that definitely left some.
Me thinking about it,
it's not to mean she didn't.
Yeah,
I'm just saying this is how I
did actually, as much as a high school person could love another high school person, but it was, honestly, it seemed to be out of her control at that point. So
yeah, I don't know
if it's any consolation. I think she meant it, but her dad being her dad, she couldn't go on even if she wanted to. So
I think, surprisingly, I guess that's nice to hear. But I think those wounds have healed since then. But I think for, like, a year or two after that relationship, that was, like, a big thing where it's like a big thing where it's like, I stopped saying I love you, period, to, like, anyone.
Really? Wow.
I couldn't, like, say it to, like, my siblings, my parents, like, anyone. It was genuinely, like, a very big thing. Yeah, I think, like, in hindsight, yeah, I think, like, it probably wouldn't have, like, worked out, not from, like, the relationship standpoint, but just, like, they did move to California.
Yeah.
And so what's weird about my timeline is I think us hanging out home alone was after we had broken up.
Really?
I think so. Because, like, you know, the whole thing,
see her for a month.
The whole thing of like, oh, let's, you know, you break up and it's like,
you're still hanging out.
It's like we're still friends or something, like,
okay.
And so I think we broke up. I think we then still hung out from time to time. Then, like, you know, then we get caught home alone. Dad's like, no hanging out anymore for a month. Didn't do that. Then I think after a month goes by, then we like can again. But I think we just chose not to. I think we just really didn't like keep in touch that much that summer. And then I think we did try to like become friends again once, but like we kind of had like a disagreement where like she really didn't like being corrected. And I guess I'm sorry, I don't know. Did that sound bad?
No, I mean, what do you mean by being corrected?
Our last like communication where it was like we weren't even like kind of friends anymore was she was like, oh, let's go see Suicide Squad. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, when do you want to go see it? And she's like, let's go this date. And and it's like, I don't know what date it was, but she was like, this date. I was like, hey, like, I guess she didn't like being wrong. And then I tell her like, she's wrong, basically. I don't know. This may sound really bad.
I mean, not for you, but for her.
Okay. Because like...
Well, she just gave factually incorrect information. You told her what was right and she got mad.
I think... Well, I don't remember the whole relationship, but in her defense, in like previous times, I may not have been like the nicest about it. I might have been like, you're wrong, I'm right. Like I might have been a bit of a jerk about it in the past. Oh. So I think it was also like a sensitive thing based on like her being like the youngest of her family. I think she got that a lot from her family as well. So I think it was like a sensitive subject of kind of like not being taken seriously or like something like that. But I think also I was younger and probably a jerk sometimes. I'm gonna say I don't remember, so I don't know for sure, but I think I'll just say like, yeah, I was probably mean sometimes or like a little insensitive, let's say.
Okay.
But our last communication was she was like, hey, let's go see Suicide Squad. And it's like, let's go on this day. And I'm like, hey, like, I don't think it comes out on that day. Like, I don't think it's out yet then. And then she then sends me like a screenshot. She like Googles it. She's like, when does Suicide Squad come out? And then it's like this date and it's the date she said. And then literally I do the exact same thing. I Google it and I scroll down just a little bit. I scroll down to like the next article and it says like the date I'm saying. And then I'm like, and I sent a screenshot of that and she's like, I don't know if this is working. I don't know if we can be friends.
Oh my God.
But like, I thought it was so
ridiculous.
I think it definitely shows like our maybe maturity of just like, I guess maybe more so her maturity, because it's like I did the exact same thing she did where it's like she's correcting me. She's like, no, you're wrong. Here's a screenshot of when it comes out. And I'm like, I literally Googled the exact same thing as she did. and I'm like, no, you're wrong. Just look a little bit lower. And it's like, this is when it comes out. And she's like, sorry, Chief. But that was like our like last like we're friends, and then
that was when did Suicide Squad come out? Like
early or late 2016. It was like August, I think, 2016, maybe September. I don't around that time, summer, fall.
Do you know what she's up to these days?
No, but like because not having any social media, I guess I know from like my mom's social media that their parents separated, and that it was very rough on like the whole family. Because she's like the youngest of 4. Then we did kind of catch up like once or twice, like a year after that like Suicide Squad thing, where it was just like, let's say like 6 months goes by and it's like, hey, like, how you doing? Those talks were good. They were fine. Some time was removed. Like, we're not like friends anymore. We're just kind of like catching up a little bit.
You didn't try to correct her?
I'll be like, actually, we haven't talked in 7 months.
Then she blocks you.
No, those were fine. I think what's super interesting, what I've thought about, or what I find super interesting and what I've thought about a lot since then is like knowing that, or with my parents currently separating and knowing her parents separated, I guess I just don't know a lot of people that I guess that's their situation with their parents, especially in like, I guess the Christian communities I'm in.
Where they've like separated?
it's just, I guess it's not super common in like Christian communities. You know what I mean? So I guess I don't know of who my friends of who has like divorced parents, you know?
Growing up, I had one person who I was close to, not close to, but who I knew throughout childhood, whose parents were divorced. I don't know if either of them got remarried. They're like family friends. But also, growing up, there are also just a lot of people who their parents just weren't together, or they just straight up didn't have a dad. So that wasn't quite that uncommon to me.
But I guess for me, that is pretty / like very uncommon. I guess I do have my friend, I guess, I don't know, we're not talking bad about him, so like Nathan, I know his parents are separated. I don't know, I think like with my current situation and knowing that she's been through it, I kind of like almost wish I had social media just to like reach out and be like, hey, like just to kind of catch up and like, I don't know, wonder how we ended up, you know, and like
you don't have like a dummy Facebook account?
No.
Oh, I do.
I
don't use it for those purposes.
What is it? Here, I use Melissa's Facebook account to reach it. I use my current girlfriend's account to reach out to my ex-girlfriend's account. Nah. I guess I've thought about it a lot.
Now just like Googled her name. Unless she has like a common name.
What do you mean? Well, like, no, but like actually communicate. Not just like... like she's probably in college. Like I know she's graduated by now. Probably in college in like California. Probably with her mom. But these are all guesses. Well, educated guesses, but what is it? No, like genuinely, like reconnect and just kind of like
convicted felon.
That would be kind of cool. Okay, that wouldn't be cool. Okay, well, okay. She's gonna listen to this and like,
is she?
I don't know. What if she's one of your subscribers? Oddly enough,
could you imagine? That
would be so weird. She'd be like, what the frick? Like, not Arin is my ex. No, I think but like in all seriousness, I really have thought a lot about this past like year of my life of like reaching out and reconnecting and just being like, hey, like, how you doing? Like, how's life? Where are you at? You dating anyone? Like, what was going through like your parents' situation like for you? And it's like, guess what? I'm going through the same thing. Like, I think it would just be very interesting, but really got to get over that like awkward like hurdle first of just like, hey, I haven't heard from you in years. And like,
I mean, it's not like you're going to see her. I feel like physical distance is the best way to get over things like that. Because if I know I'm not going to like see that person face to face anymore, then it's like, oh, I don't really care all that much. Yeah, I'm not going to like say something wacky to somebody.
But I also overthink things a lot. I don't know. It's something I still might do, or like, I feel like I'd still really like to like catch up with her. At the time, like in high school, and I guess even like first bit of college, that relationship really like, I guess was a pretty heavy piece of baggage and like left some wounds. But I think since then, a lot of that has like healed. And like, I think now I like really just remember like the good stuff and just kind of remember that time fondly. And it's like, it's still hurt. That doesn't go away. But I guess it doesn't. Time heals all wounds.
No, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like people always say that after, like right after a breakup, but I feel like I can say that now, like several years removed from this breakup. But yeah, I guess it's very formative for my years being like my first relationship, as well as being like just a very significant event in my life. Yeah. And that's just one of them.
Attention all Kmart shoppers, you are listening to part 1 of this episode of the Not Just Arin podcast, but worry not, for part 2 is coming out next week at the usual time. That is Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Time. To stay up to date on all things, you can follow our Twitter and Instagram at Not Just Arin Pod. And to discuss all things Not Just Arin, you can use the hashtag NJAPod on all social media platforms. Thanks for listening.